Nobody's ever lit me up over that.
They do.
Scroll.
In the car. Okay, first thing on the agenda this morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry. I've been out of touch and out of tune with sharing these meetings, so forgive me. What's the first thing? The Lake Superior Court. Councilman Ham.
I'll be in support of, number 6.
Number 6.
It's a transfer. Good morning.
Just requesting to transfer within our budget from professional to other professional services, $28,500 to pay our public defender that is on contract.
It's one, there's one, right?
Just one.
Yeah. I thought so. We do this annually.
Yes.
Doesn't cost us anything. One's under contract.
Questions?
I have just one question. What budget has come from, the 23 or the 24?
24.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Juvenile Court, Mr. Ham again.
Good morning.
Jim?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Juvenile Court, we'd like to create new line items for the Family Recovery Court and then appropriate travel and supplemental pay and deduction appropriate that Family Court grant fund from 9350 and the grant fund from 9245. And then there's some reductions, and the reason for the reductions is they asked for 216,816 and only received 199,614. So it's all within itself.
Questions?
I'll be in support of this as well. It's coming out of a grant fund. Scott, you good?
Number 8, the appropriation, number 8, the appropriation for $9,000. That kind of got by me a little bit. It's our public defender for the 4D court. And the last couple of years, in November, December, she hasn't been getting paid. So she came up with a new contract this year. It's a little bit more money. But I think what we can do right now, instead of right off the beginning of the year, we can resend this, and then obviously anything we need, we can come back to the council and ask for, so we can run the committee's report budget or what Lisa, by the way, this is Lisa Seller. She's the office manager for 4D and Derry and N. So we can resend that now, and if we need the money, we'll come in and get it. I mean,
Later in the year, Tim?
Yeah.
Yes.
Either way
So
guys get it.
we're going to have no action on A, correct?
Right.
What was that, Dave? No action?
No action on
On
8A.
8A, I'm sorry, yeah.
No action.
Correct.
And then 8B again, these are all things that are just within themselves. For the new line items for the,
And none of those are general fund.
no, none of them. They're all within themselves. Yeah.
You open up with she wasn't being paid. What do you?
She's been doing this, I'm trying to think of her name.
Cecilia Panther.
Thank you. For 20 years, and she had a contract, and then the last couple of years, she did November, December, but wasn't getting paid for it. So she came up with a new contract late, and that's why we came up with the money to cover it. But I think we can wait till sometime through mid-year to see where we're at, because it's based on how many cases she does and all that.
That's on the previous one.
Yeah,
number
yeah,
8.
right.
Hourly rate for number of cases, contempt cases that she was given before before.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Hey, Tim, just real quick, I just, an update on our vertical gardens. Everything's moving great. It's pretty exciting stuff, you guys. Judge Stefaniak's been awesome. Randy, I'm hoping that when we get a little closer with your connections down with the 4-H and some of our future farmer folks, but it's great, exciting stuff. I see Commissioner Repay's on, and we'll, morning, Mike, and with his help, and should be getting a build out the cost where we see where it is, and the building, that space that the judge gave us looks like it's going to work out. what it's gonna cost to renovate, get it started, and we'll actually, start producing, fruits and vegetables and things out of the greenhouse, an educational process for the kids and, trading produce.
I
Pretty
actually,
exciting stuff.
I actually believe next week we're going to Ogden.
You are going to Ogden, yes.
Look at what they have there, so it's,
It's moving right along. So thank you for your help.
thank you.
Thank you. Did you complete 4D?
Yes.
9, the clerk's office, Councilwoman Sig.
Yeah, I've spoken to the clerk and he's going to request a deferral. He wants it.
Defer?
Yeah, at this time. Unless that we have more information by Tuesday, but I believe it's going to be deferred.
Okay. 10, planning. Pete?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year, Ned. These are all pretty simple. The 3 of them are all zone changes from agricultural to residential. They're all pretty much large lots. If you have any questions, I think you can ask your plan commission representative, Mr. Newman,
All no issues.
who also voted in favor of.
Yeah, they were all unanimous.
I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Does that take care of 10 as well?
Yes.
11, the coroner's office.
Morning.
Ned just said happy New Year to everyone and our council.
Happy New Year.
Bring you greetings and well wishes from administration and staff, deputy coroners, first responders, from the Lee County Coroner's Office. Today, I'm before you to request a final of our reorganization. After speaking with my chairman and a couple of councilmen, we decided that to offset 91,000 that we're requesting, 41,000, we are reducing our staff by one entry level medical exam, medical legal death investigator. We've done a lot of work in our original reorganization with your advisors and some of you with reducing some of the line items, many of the line items. And we worked hard to be more efficient and our office, there may be times, and I know I've been here before for asking for additional funds for part-time or not additional funds from the county, but transfers maybe to part-time or overtime. The office is, really busy and offsets, days off and sick days and things like that. I know all of you understand that. So today, I'm representing a staff that has been doing some really awesome work and they've been really working hard. We have a lot of work to do each and every day, as you know, and we're trying to get them at a level comparable to at least an entry level, and it's gonna. What we're asking, we're still below, but what a sheriff deputy and a correctional officer is making. As I brought up before about the state honoring the coroners and making them now first responders and public safety officers, I thought that was an important issue.
When was this done?
Excuse me?
When was this done?
This was done at the beginning of 23, and we are now first responders and public safety officers. The governor signed that January 1st of 23. So really, I came here not unprepared, but I don't know what else to say in our final request for this continuation of reorganization, other than, I've been working on this part that I'm coming to you today for since September and October. I've sent letters and backed up some of those things with those fancy charts that I hand made and all that stuff. But I really hope that all of you can find any of you to approve our request in Tuesday's meeting. If you have any questions, please ask me now. You know how to reach me if you want to talk to me about it a little more later.
Mr. Chairman, I can say that Dave has worked diligently. I mean, where this started to where it is now, there's been a lot of shifting. I remember the first proposal that you put in front of me was a couple $100,000. And so there's been a lot of moving around, condensing and consolidation within his department. And they've been extremely busy and probably overly burdened on some workload here, and the type of professionals that the coroner needs to invest in is specific skill sets. So it's not something that you can just take anyone off the street without training to plug them in. So I'm in support of this, and we'll be asking for support of the council.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments?
I'd like to, after that presentation, I will be in support. I'm sorry, Mr. Brown, I probably should have asked you by name to speak. So I apologize for that. I certainly will support Dave and Randy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Health Department.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, the additional appropriation is 91,478. I don't know if you saw this.
91 minus,
Yeah, it's not showing the minus 41, so it should really be
yeah,
50.
well, it's in parentheses, and what she did is she broke it down.
No.
Originally, she broke it down twice to show requesting 12,000 on one page and 38 on. So
And I was saying your total increase is 91.
That's what I was gonna, so are we appropriating 91 or are we appropriating the 50 that I see on here?
Well, that's the,
we resubmitted, and I'm not.
I believe the 50.
it's the 50, the salaries will amount to the 50.
So do we need to appropriate
The
91?
85 should be reduced by.
Okay.
There should be a reduction.
Yeah, it says.
Yeah.
That's part of the agenda.
Yeah, we're eliminating a position, but we're not decreasing the line items
Correct.
that pays that position. It's already there.
Exactly.
It's already there.
The 85 should be.
It's showing.
50,377.
So would we change, that would be changed for Tuesday then?
We could change that.
Yeah, it's correct, the agenda.
No, we're not.
That one was something, I don't have it.
I
Good.
didn't want to cut you off guard.
No, this fairly. I'm aware.
At least
Son,
the
Yeah,
revised.
George to make
Okay,
it correct.
the revised 144, I believe is correct.
Yeah.
It's just this piece needs to be matched the revised 144.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we get that straight?
Yeah.
We're good, Charlie.
Okay. Health Department,
I'll work with them.
All right.
Yeah.
Health Department.
Oh,
Nick Doffin, when I spoke to him yesterday, was ill. But what I did report to him is that on these additional appropriations, and I think we should have told David this too. Jasmine timely got information to both the Post Tribune and the Hammond Times, but for some reason, the Post Tribune did not run our notice. And the statute says that it has to run in 2 newspapers. So I think that the appropriations are going to need to be deferred.
Deferred.
Or postponed.
Post Tribune did not, we got them to them timely, but they did not post them.
Yeah, I don't think it was Carrie's fault, but.
But we can create the new line items.
We can create the line items, but we cannot do the additional appropriations. And just so everybody understands, this is that new Senate bill that creates the new local health fund, and that process is moving forward.
Tom, so the Times got it right? Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're straight on that.
Yeah, that's going to need to be postponed.
We will just postpone any action on.
Yeah, and I asked Mr. Doffin if he needed a special session for that, and he said he did not.
I know we had some issues about their meetings. Did we ever find out any more about that?
Yes, I spoke to him about that also, and he said that they now have a scheduled meetings for 2023. And the first one's in February.
Mr. Brown, question. What time is these meetings? You just given us the month. What time are they holding the meetings?
Oh, he didn't tell me that.
Well, that was what the
Oh, the
problem
health board?
was.
Yeah, some
Well,
of the,
I'm sorry. The problem was, aren't they holding these health meetings 7:30 in the morning?
I did not ask him that. What time it was.
Mr.
I can
Chairman.
follow up with him and let you know by Tuesday.
Yeah, I can comment on that, Mr. Chairman. I actually spoke to the president of the board and he told me that really is to accommodate the members because they all have a job to go to. But he did say that if he was going to speak to his board about, possibly holding a evening meeting. So maybe not all the time, but maybe, to address citizens' concerns or whatever.
Talk to them about their minutes,
About what?
their minutes. They didn't.
Yeah, I also spoke to him about the minutes and requested that he place those minutes on a website or county website so that they're accessible to the public. So he said he was going to bring that up at their next board meeting.
Well, if they request them, he has to give it to them, not to put it somewhere for them to
The
go.
commissioners are dealing with those requests for minutes at this time.
My understanding, and when speaking with Mr. Dawson, is that those are recorded, via cassette tape, so they can have the minutes.
Cassette tape?
Transcribe.
It's the State Board of Accounts.
It's got a 10K keyboard.
VHS with beta.
Commodore 64. I do want to let you know, we've also signed additional help. So the help board help with some of these issues that are available. So we're going to provide further legal guidance, more intense guidance.
You have to provide written minutes.
Is it your opinion that they were recording the minutes, but just were behind in getting them to the public for public view?
These common conversations with Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. President, that's still a violation of Indiana open door law. They have to provide the minutes. They don't have to go hunt for the minutes. The minutes should be held by the health department when they ask for them, given directly to them, not sent to the Hammond Times or the Post Tribune to get the information. So they're in violation. You don't need an attorney there. You need a stenographer, somebody records your minutes. Unless this attorney is a stenographer. Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Okay, yeah.
Just one quick question for Tom. Tom, on this, with the health department, are they gonna have to read each one of these for protocol each one individually in the record and vote on, correct? Great.
Line item?
For the line items, each line item has to be voted on individually, correct?
Normally do it, yeah.
So I thought, just was giving everybody a fair warning, that might be a time to get a cup of coffee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think it would be, since we have another month on this, I look at this list of appropriations and compare it to what money is supposed to be used for, 60% on certain core services, no more than 40% on other core services. I think in adopting these appropriations, it would be appropriate to have some sort of attachment to it that attaches these, because they're creating 23 positions, essentially a new department. And are those things related to the measurables that are required under the law? And I can't see it in this appropriation other than more personnel. What are those personnel going to be doing? How are they going to be measuring these things to make sure that those expenditures meet the provisions of the law that was adopted last year? Because right now I've seen absolutely no plan from the health department to do that. So since they have another month to prepare, I think that it would be good for Mr. Dauphin to be given that message that we're going to need a lot of detail as to how they're going to meet the provisions of law, because right now all I see is a new department.
We could also, Mr. Chairman, if I could please, we could pitch to them that they wanted to throw in with the juvenile corrections and the production of the fruits and vegetables that qualifies for healthy eating and food under that revenue source. So if they were interested, you sit on the board, I would not say no if they wanted to throw, $100,000 our way to help build the greenhouse. It'd be great.
I mean, there's,
Just saying.
there are some pretty specific,
It's very specific, but
Yeah.
the growing of fruits and vegetables would help, and it qualifies.
but I believe that funding, requires some transparency of what these different people are going to be doing that they're hiring, how their activities are going to meet the provisions of Senate Bill 4.
How is that, or how do we convey those specific questions to the health department that we have an answer before the next meeting?
I would ask him directly, but he's not here.
Nick is ill today, or he was ill yesterday, and I assume he's still ill today. The
Health department's sick.
And the council needs to know also, this statute sets out, there's all kinds of transparency and checks and balances with the State Board of Health and the Department of Local Government Finance. This is all state appropriated money through the State Budget Committee. So there's checks and balances all along the way, but I agree. Nick can come here and explain what each one of these people is going to do.
It'd be great.
Mr. President,
Okay, yes, sir.
I disagree with Mr. O'Donnell on something. You probably should ask the State Board of Accounts. We don't have to vote 23 times. It could be red, we vote one, unless a member, and I'm very clear, it has to be one of the members, 7 members would have to object, and ask that it be divided. The State Board of Accounts will not find an audit exception if you read them all off and then at the end take one vote. If you want to take 20, that is absolutely.
I'll confirm that. I'll check. If
Wait.
I don't disagree with Councilman, I will look into that with Christy Griffin and get an opinion from her.
Yeah, because you said it was not clear, and I'm not sure I've done this numerous times on numerous boards. I've never seen an audit exception based upon that.
It was more along the lines that the statute requires 6 votes. And if somebody liked one line item but not another,
That's a division of the question. That's what are the 7 of us? That's not State Board of Accounts. No, I know you didn't. I'm saying, you said it was unclear. If it's unclear to a member of the board, we should explain it to them again. We don't want to vote 23 times. That makes no sense to vote 23 times on anything. Just mere that number of votes would say it's something wrong with it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. 13, we are deferring this until next month with the understanding that there will be an explanation about the duties and responsibilities for each person. Is that accurate? Is that what the request was?
Yes, sir.
it's got to be postponed just because it wasn't advertised. But
Yeah.
But rather than, Mr. Chairman, rather than Nick coming here and just explaining it, I agree with Randy. Put it in writing so that we have it and it's not like, no, that's not what I said, or. I agree
They are
with-
measurables. I mean, these things are very specific, so.
I agree with Randy.
I
Yeah,
think giving him the
Nick needs
extra
to-
month also helps to be able to
it's
identify.
got a month to
Yeah.
give us that in writing.
Agreed.
So your recommendation is that we submit in writing to the health department an explanation of the duties of all of these new people?
That's what our request would be. Am I
So they
right,
would
Randy?
submit it to us.
They need to submit that to us in writing.
Okay, is that clear to get to Mr. Dolphin? Okay, number 13, Mr. Hammond.
Yeah, it's my month. Randy and I flip-flop. In criminal courts, what is it, Department 3002, I'm gonna seek approval as probation officers, which are set by the state. And these are actually reductions, and reductions I've never had anybody complain on. But it depends on how much time each probation officer has, is that correct? What I do, good,
The, two that you did very well.
all right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Have a great year
Yes.
and a healthy.
Healthy, or at least.
So we're not asking for reduction of probation officers. The probation officers that's being hired has less years than the previous probation officers. And they're starting at the bottom of the scale, so that's why so much money is being.
That couldn't be done with just indicating there's a range of salary. You're gonna come back at the end of the year and say, I need more money for this particular issue or a position or for the department as a result of, yeah, no.
Well, it will be back for more money. We're just given, because these are two people that are being hired, the rest of them must stay in place. So that salary that's already mandated, that's already set for the year.
Right.
Would stay the same.
Scott,
Revised 144 is just a change to the salary ordinance. So we need to have the salary ordinance amended. The practical effect of it is it saves money back to the general fund.
Scott, no problem. You deal with this regularly.
Yeah, no, that's, again, the probation officers, the state effectively sets their salaries, so they're doing the right thing. They're saying, hey, the qualifications of the current individual in that role warrant a lower salary level, so previously just paid. So we're gonna see this potentially monthly with different departments that have probation officers. It's really unavoidable. Because as there's turnover in those positions, there's different qualifications for the new hire.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too, thank you.
14, the county council.
It's where we all raise our hands at once.
Have a rate.
I don't think we've gotten the mileage
67
rate yet.
cents.
Did it get verified?
7 cents.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that Lisa sent over the ordinance.
Okay, cool. They're moving really fast out of DC. Usually we don't get that till like March.
Any other, so have we filled all these positions?
No, we have to do that. So.
That brings us to the end of our agenda.
Unless somebody says I'm not.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Repay is on WebEx. Scott and I became aware yesterday that the commissioners are wanting to put forward a bond ordinance. And Jonathan Baker Tilly is here today to discuss the specifics of it. If I don't have authority to put things on the agenda, so if the council wants to hear a presentation today, that's why Commissioner Repay is here and Dan is here.
That's in regards to the email that Commissioner sent?
Yes.
Right.
Vote to be presented in the study session, but we would have to take a vote to hear it on Tuesday morning, correct? He can speak on behalf of it right now. We're
I
not.
think we
there's
can
no
receive
action to be taken
information.
today, right?
No, and they don't expect action to be taken because we haven't advertised
Right.
for the bond issue at all, so.
We would be presenting the ordinance to you for consideration for trading in February 2nd. Anticipating closing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be willing to make that motion on Tuesday morning to add the commissioners to the agenda.
For a presentation then,
For their presentation,
Well-
if you're ready to do it this Tuesday.
Today?
Well, Doug Belisari from Baker Tilly.
I say Dan, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Doug.
And so he wanted to be able to
Doug
provide
Belisari.
some additional information, we can rebase here.
Perfect.
I do today.
Yeah,
We could provide you a short presentation this morning,
that will be fine.
February.
They could do that without advertising.
We should have a final draft of the ordinance here, I would think, by next week. So we'll get it, sure that's all the council members.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
President, unrelated. If there's a question, and I guess it came up with all of these probation officers, that we have Mr. Bishop or whoever's going to do it, this case, I believe they had to respond by a time certain to the court.
We have the attorney here.
Was that done?
Yeah, Mr. Bishop filed a motion to continue based upon his current circumstances, and it's set out till the end of February now.
Okay, Thank you.
Who's handling that, Tom? Is Jerry gonna
We're
handle
still
it or
talking
Sean?
about it. Jerry hasn't.
We proceed with the brief presentation.
But don't we have to do something with this contract, Mr. O'Donnell?
Not
He's,
current.
he's not got no contract right now.
Okay, so no contract, but he's working. Is that,
He did one more thing before the end of the year while his contract.
oh, it's before the end of the year. Thank you.
Morning, appreciate being here this morning. To give a brief presentation on the Calumet Township Sewer Project that I believe you're all aware of. That is proceeding very well, and they're almost done with design. They'll be bidding it here soon, and the project costs are such, the majority of it's going to be paid with ARPA funds. But there is an amount that does need to be financed through SRF. So the total project costs we're looking at right now are about $90 million. The anticipated funding sources are $60 million from ARPA. There's a $5 million grant basically that's already been received from SRF. There's some interest earnings we have in there based on the construction proceeds, and then a $24 million. The SRF program, this project is in their subsidized program, which means the interest rate is less than you can get out in the open market, even if you had a AAA rate. Currently it's a 35-year loan at 2.49% fixed for 35 years. So you're not going to beat that. So that's where the financing of the project is. The ordinance that you're going to see when it comes out is a parameter ordinance. So you're going to see higher interest rates. They're just MACVs. They're not based on what we think they're going to get at this point, just in case things may get delayed or whatever. And the maximum par amount's $99 million as opposed to the $90 million of the current estimate. The debt service on the project is anticipated to be paid back with edit revenues.
With what
From
revenues?
edit, the county's edit revenues, which were in 23, 9.4 million, for 24, that's supposed to go up to $10.4 million a year. The actual debt service is about $1,150,000 per year for 35 years. Now that's going to ramp up. We don't have any principal being paid back in the early years during construction for a couple of years. And I think it's going to be a draw loan, but SRF hasn't confirmed yet. So we actually won't pay any interest on the loan until the funds are drawn down. But all in all, with the debt service, there'll be a reserve that needs to be funded over 5 years because of the maximum payment. And then a coverage that's required for the SRF program. So when you get ramped up in 27 through 29, the total pledge would be about $1 million per year on those to pay the debt service back from those companies. And then the system itself, there's about 820 customers out there, users that are going to be connected. And we're proposing an $85 rate per month for sewer, which is very competitive for a brand new system. It would be much higher if the county wasn't using their edit fund or didn't use that funds to pay for the debt service or get some other grant for the project. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So many edit is
How
seated,
many
same thing?
additional customers?
There's 852 customers in the area that is going to be the initial phase of the project that's going to be sewered, where they're going to put collection system in. And
Is edit seated, Charlie or Tom? Or?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
Economic
Thing,
development
I
is
assumed.
tax.
right.
All right.
Commissioner, any additions or?
I don't know if you muted. No.
No, I mean, I just would say, I think Doug pointed out that there are parameters in the ordinance and that there's somewhat of a moving target, although we've got it pretty well dialed in. We appreciate you hearing us today, and also we would appreciate just a first reading, just so we could get something, moving down the pipeline. SRF has been very good to us, but we're also very good to them. I think we have a project here that kind of fits what SRF and what IFA has been wanting to do in the state, which is put money towards these types of projects. And this is a really big one for them. Love to do a lot more, and I hope we're going to do a lot more in the future. So this is just the first phase. I would say that, you know, I think somebody asked about users. The users at this point, you know, there's a lot of big ticket items that will be done in this first phase that will be accounted for, and then will allow us to add on users at a less, you know, expense. In other words, the pump station, the force main, all those things are getting built out in this first phase. Pretty large cost on those, but we hope that this is the beginning of, you know, eventually being able to offer sewers to the entire community and keeping, you know, getting treated water back into Lake Michigan as opposed to getting it into the groundwater where it's going to potentially, you know, damage people's wells, et cetera. So
I would concur that, especially on the SRF program, they're very excited to finance this project. This is right up the alley of the infrastructure act, and that's where the money is going from. Okay. So it's a perfect fit.
Completion date?
Yeah, because what's that?
Is there a completion date?
I think the completion is about it's a 3-year construction period, 2 to 3 years, which will start in May or June. It's going to make a financing in April. And
Depending on the weather.
That's going to be the weather. I'm not the engineer, so.
When do those 800 get noticed that your rate is going to go up as a result, even though it's going to help them tremendously, but still going to get those folk that are going to complain about an increase in their rate?
Yeah, there already has been a public meeting and information that's been distributed to the proposed users in the system. But there will be a rate public hearing that's going to happen with the adoption of the rate ordinance, and there'll be opportunities for them to hear about it.
And right now, so you know, Councilman Brown and the rest, there's not an obligation at this point for any resident to tie in. There's an opportunity, I would argue, a really great opportunity that's going to benefit them. But you're right, there are people today that say, you know, I'm not paying anything today because I'm putting it in a septic system. And they have that choice to do that. We're allowing them to do that. We have enough people that are, you know, wanting to be on board to make the system work and functional. And those folks, of course, that have a septic system that's in a area where, you know, may or may not have a build, they may or may not be able to, and likely not be able to rebuild their septic system should it fail in the future. So folks are making those decisions based on, you know, all the things that people make those decisions based on, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, so how are they billed? How are they billed the $85?
They'll be billed an update from the county.
The county's gonna send them a bill, a bill every month?
Yeah, likely it'll be we'll have a contract with a service provider that will include billing.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple of questions. The presentation you just.
Answer to your question?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Lane.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That presentation you just gave, do you have it in writing? I'm not as smart as the rest of them.
Oh, you know what?
Leave me a copy.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I did try and send it to Councilman Lay. It came back to me. Perhaps one of the other council members or the council attorney could forward it, because I have an email address for Councilman Lay it didn't work. So.
Well, that's not accurate about phone calls, but we don't have to debate that. Can you give me a copy of your presentation? Yeah, that's it. Second question. This is going to be a $24 million bond.
Yeah, that's the estimate. At this point, we haven't gotten bid yet.
Okay. When will the cost of issuance be approved by this council?
The cost of issuance is included in the overall sizing of the bond issue. So with the adoption of bond ordinance.
Would it be broke out where we would, in fact, make a decision on the cost? That discussion came up at length. I think Mr. Niemeyer may have raised it. I agreed with it at the time. Their cost of attorneys and things of that nature, even your cost in there, where we would have to approve the cost of issuance itself. We could disagree with the cost of issuance.
Right. We could include an estimate of what those would be. We won't know the exact cost.
But you separate it, where we look at you look at two things. the project and the cost of issuance. So it's clear what we're looking at in terms of that.
Yeah, we can separate that out in the scheduling.
Okay, and then with the council, then approval be necessary. Who would know that? Mr. Repay, you know the answer to that one?
Cost of issuance, I assume, would be part of the,
It's going to be in the bond ordinance.
push should be in the bond ordinance, right?
So we will we will have to approve it. I'm asking will the
Yes,
council?
you have to approve the bond ordinance because in Lake County, as you may or may not know.
I don't
in
know.
Lake County, the ordinance authority is held in the county councils.
Just going legislative.
I've just have never seen that, but I would like to see the cost of issuance.
Yeah, it's all included, project, cost efficiency, any costs related, there's costs from SRF, and they'll all be included in the total cost of the project.
Okay, but I'm only interested in this real narrow thing called the cost of issuance. That will be there. You will have a cost of issuance in there.
We can provide an estimate.
Yes, okay.
Any other questions?
Just another statement, just to let Mr. Lane know, I spoke with Scott. We have a punch list of all the bonds that are out there and when their expiration date is, so it'll help give you an oversight on how many bonds we have out there right now, total amount, and what bonds, when their expiration date, our mature date is, and what's coming off, what's going on, so the reissuance of those bonds. So I asked Scott to put it in everyone's mailbox, so we'll have a hard copy of
The
it.
cost of issuance has already been paid on the bond that has been issued. It's paid years ago, depending on when the bond was issued. The cost of issuance come right off the top. The bond counsel, you have local counsel. And I shouldn't speak for Randy, he speaks well for himself. I thought he raised an issue of how people were being paid in bond issues. Well, since I've done them, I know there's a cost of issuance there that is approved by someone, where you can see the bond of issue. The last time I saw it was done on a $40 million project in Gary, and was done poorly. Their cost of issuance was ridiculous, based upon what various people were being paid. I mean, their fees were enormously high on the issue. I think the last one I did was 35 million for Canadian National. They paid us when they got ready, but they're up in Canada somewhere. That's all I wanted to see.
Mr. Chairman, I think that Bldg might be able to shed light. I mean, the cost of, because this is an SRF and a IFA sponsored or attributable issuance, they have some parameters, and for example, the $5 million, which was a forgivable, there were some pretty strict stipulations on local bond council costs, and I don't know if Bldg, you could shed light on that or not.
Yeah, they had some requirements on what those costs could be for bond counsel and other.
Right, that's your cost of it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, somebody has got to be able to put a ceiling.
Yeah, so that not only, will the commissioner and the council will approve it, but SRF's looking over that information too. If that provides you comfort. And with this being an SRF issue instead of an open market where you go and sell it to investors, you don't have underwriter discount, you don't have bond insurance, you don't have a lot of the costs that you would normally have with a market bond issue.
Who's buying the 24 million?
The state.
The state is going to buy.
A revolving fund.
Yeah, they get funds from the EPA and then they leverage them on the market and offer them out at low interest rates to projects just like this for utility projects.
Any other
Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank Councilman Lay for bringing up that issue because he knew I would ask that question. And secondly, though, and this isn't anyway in the council's purview, but as I'm thinking outward on the completion of a project like this is, and this is a question for you, Commissioner Repay, is the long-term kind of management plan of a utility, because I know the county's not in the utility business currently. And so this is a new step. And I just want to get a little bit of an idea what the vision is of the commissioners for that long-term plan on how to manage that utility.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that we've been working through, and another one that has been required of SRF. They will not allow us to borrow this money if they don't think that we're going to be able to manage the system properly and operate it, functionally. They wouldn't give us the 5 if we weren't gonna create the project. In other words, sometimes we make comments about red tape that comes down from on high or whatever, but I think these things are appropriate. And to the point specifically, we're working through different iterations of the management structure, both in-house to some degree and contracted for utility services. So that was kind of like dovetails in with the question that Council Lady Sid asked with regard to billing. Basically, we've accounted for it to some degree, but we haven't inked any deals yet. So we're contemplating all of those things, including, we had discussions with Gary Sanitary early on. They will be, we will be a wholesale customer to them. Essentially, they're not going to do the service. And we've had some conversation with Maryville Conservancy District about doing some work, but we're still working through that, I guess. But we're working through it with eyes wide open. We understand that that's going to be a requirement, not only for a functional system, but it's definitely a requirement for SRF to fund the project.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions?
I would just like to mention, and I talked to Tom about this last night, we're not anticipating local bond council payments. Instruments have a law.
No, I'd ask that too, didn't you, Matt?
I did.
I'm too predictable.
I just saw it ready.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna have 2, but one is unrelated. Who's making the decision? The local, will our local attorneys participate?
We're participating. I've been in contact with Telford that we're at weeks ago, and I'm participating. Thank you for that. That's a good time.
Mr. Chairman, totally unrelated to that. We received,
Can we wrap this up before you, if this isn't related to?
I thought they were through with that.
I'm all done.
I thought it-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Mr. Lay.
Okay, thank you. Without the utilization of any name, one of our employees has given us notice of resignation, which is not a bad thing. I think he's going. Thank you very much. That way I don't have to look in the Hammond Times to get it. As indicated, he will, well, I guess he will no longer be with us. Do we have a personnel committee?
Just spoke to Tom about us having an executive session to talk about overall how personnel are handled. So that would have to be in a closed session in which we try to set the foundation for how and when people are hired by the county council.
Well, it should be specific, but you pay Mr. O'Donnell to advise you, so certainly you should take his advice.
Just real quickly about that, what we can have an executive session on is to interview candidates and to obtain information about candidates. I think any policy that's going to be set needs to be set in an open meeting.
Yes, I agree with that version of what I read the open door law to be. I was just asking so we don't just sit here and all of a sudden next month, or although I've been told we have a way maybe of solving the problem. And so I think it should be discussed in the public, but whatever your wishes are, it's fine with me.
Mr. Chairman, I believe through our employee policy that we have to post it and then we can advertise to the public the opening. So I mean, there is a process, I believe, already in place. Take a look at
I
that.
think what the question is who here decides? Is it a presidential appointment? Is it a majority of the council
Yeah. I think
appointment?
in the past, it's been the president, but I'm not sure. I mean, that's
President has that type of authority.
the president has discussed with others, but yeah. Okay, you can look that up. All right.
Look up what? What are you telling me? To look?
He,
President's authority?
yeah,
Well, attorneys can give us the president's authority. Why would I look it up? Why would I become a researcher?
no, Tom is saying that there's a question. I don't know if that's your question or not, that who makes the selection of the next employee?
Right, but I thought then there was a discussion of where the authority was. I was not, I mean, if that's the authority, I'd like to see the ordinance. Just give me the ordinance where the council has voted to give a president that type of authority. I would assume that's
Not saying it is, I'm saying, I believe it was past practice.
past practice.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, because, you know, play that smooth.
We've, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just for a point of clarification, I can go back to our interview process. And I'm sorry, Mr. Lee, I'm trying to make eye contact, but
Oh, no,
I did just.
no, Cloris is mad.
Of course, what we've done in the past, and I'll use, for example, and Scott, we conducted interviews and whatnot, and then we voted on the council floor. I want to say, with the exception of the part-time positions, that it's just been a mention, and we've approved it. I'd have to go back in the minutes and ask Jasmine to pull them. Victoria Rivera came in front of the council. I was, she's a relation of mine, by the way, by a niece. And therefore I didn't vote on anything and would not have because of that type, though there is no direct supervision over her by me or by me as a council member. Do I have any direct supervision over anyone? But I felt for my own personal use, I didn't, go that route, but
Well, that's
we
good.
would bring it in front of the council, I think, and then you have that, and then you have to fill the position. It's kind of at least made mention of
Yeah, the position would have to go on the agenda.
the agenda, right?
Any other questions? 10 o'clock Tuesday. Thank you.
I will say that,
Square.
I will add that on these committees that I said, I would like to remain on them.
What they were talking about.
Congratulations and congratulations to George. I think, Cloris, Mr. Lay made a comment on that. I think it's exciting about George. I wish him the best. He's moving on to community corrections. It sounds like he's moving up the ladder of success. And for any young person in today's world, I think it's nice and it's, you should be proud of him. We
One
kind
other
of helped
thing-
elevate him to get there, right?
One other thing is,
Yeah,
everyone received that email from Ty Warner. Do we want to do anything? Do we want him to come to a meeting and speak?
That's what he needs to do when you're, I mean, these are all about.
Anybody have any feeling?
I set up something, that'll be, we'll be working.
Yeah, well, the session starts January 8th. It's a short session, so
They don't have the first.
do anything at all.
Right.
I don't know if Porter or Laporte has done it.
Also, before I forget too, those that want to go for legislation, that's February this year, it's pretty quick, like the 10th or something on that line. So if you're interested in going, please, Carol, because
Does it fall into our February?
that's study session. I gotta look, in February, because it's leap year, there's 29 days.
Yeah.
I don't think I can go this year.
Yeah, but if that's like here, we probably not be more. Her job.
Right, that doesn't mean you just have to fill in what.
Good job,
I don't-
Mr.
I'm not saying what they did, but.
No,
Correct.
no,
That's what he did.
no, I'm trying to say.
These things, they're not being very creative.
Very important. Send me that, please.
Yes.
You got it?
I mean,
Oh, did you see who came on?